extend a special word of welcome, particularly to those participants who are not necessarily in the various structures of the African National Congress and the Alliance, who have taken time to devote to this process of helping us formulate the manifesto that we are all about today. We thank you for accepting our invitation to participate in this very important discussion. Tomorrow, on the 26th of June, we will be celebrating Freedom Charter Day, the day in 1955 on which the Congress of the People adopted what has now become clearly recognized as a vision for South Africa, a South Africa that belongs to all who live in it, black and white. The Freedom Charter, as we all know, is quite a remarkable document, not only for what it contains, but also for the manner in which it was drafted. In the months leading up to the Congress of the People, thousands of volunteers traveled through the length and the breadth of South Africa, from cities, from slums to villages and farms, to solicit the views and to collect the demands of the people of South Africa. Submissions came in all forms. Some were in neatly typewritten papers, others were written in notebooks, yet others were scribbled on the back of leaflets and scrap paper, and the writers of history have been hesitant to even include those that were written on toilet paper, because some were written on toilet paper, as we have heard from those who were around at that time. The Freedom Charter was a product of the most thoroughgoing process of popular consultation to have taken place in South Africa. It was this spirit that was a defining feature of the writing of our new democratic constitution, for which we received well over 1 million submissions. Another process, as we all know, is underway now, soliciting the views, the thoughts, and the suggestions of our people on the issue of land. I'm told that well over 300,000 submissions have already been made. It is this spirit of broad popular consultation that informs our approach to the ANC's 2019 election manifesto. The manifesto will set out a vision for our country that must be crafted by the people of this country. It must set out programs to achieve that vision that are rooted in the daily experiences of our people. What they experience, what they go through, the challenges that continue to confront them must finally find their way in the manifesto that will be crafted by the African National Congress. The manifesto must give effect to the view that in South Africa, people are the active agents of their own liberation, that they are the architects themselves of the progress and the prosperity that they want to see in our country. We have therefore developed a program of consultation and engagement which will unfold over the next few months as we draft this manifesto. That program begins today with this consultative workshop. We have broadened participation in this workshop to include important and key stakeholders in our country, who include activists, experts, opinion makers, and many others beyond the structures of the African National Congress. We want to hear as many views as possible. We also want to have an insight into the thoughts of people who work daily in areas that are important to the development and the transformation of our country. We want our discussions to be informed by research, by data, and by academic inquiry as well. If we are to develop effective programs that build a society that is free of hunger, free of unemployment and inequality, conventional thinking needs to be challenged. Existing programs need to be thoroughly interrogated. We are fresh from the ANC's 54th National Conference, which took far-reaching resolutions to accelerate radical social and economic transformation over the next 5 years. The conference recognized the remarkable progress that we have made as a country since 1994. By working together, the people of South Africa have forged a unitary, democratic state founded on a constitution which guarantees equal rights for all. Working together, we have directed public resources towards tackling poverty, building houses for the poor, electrifying many houses, providing water to millions of additional households, redistributing land, improving education and health, and providing more than 17 million social grants. For much of the first 2 decades of democracy, the ANC-led government managed to ensure sustained economic growth. It also sustained macroeconomic stability and prudent management of public resources, whilst at the same time pursuing redistribution policies. The number of people in employment in our country rose from 8.9 million people who were in employment in 1994 to around 16 million today. We sustained high levels of investment in education and skills development and directed resources to meet the needs of the poor while improving their prospects for access to opportunities. The ANC 54th National Conference noted, however, that much more needs to be done before we can realize the vision that was clearly articulated and set out by our forebears in the Freedom Charter. The manifesto that we are meeting to discuss today must therefore be firmly focused on the future, knowing very well that a very good and firm foundation was built and set out in the past. But we cannot dwell on that past. We must craft a manifesto that will take us to the future and focus on that future. It must also outline how we will work together with all South Africans to implement the resolutions of the ANC's National Conference. The manifesto plays a crucial role in the democratic process of our country. It is through the manifesto that we communicate our political program for the next 5 years. It is through a manifesto that we are able to set out a clear vision of where we want South Africa to go in the next 5 years. But more than that, it must resonate with the core values of our people and speak to their interests and concerns. The manifesto we're drafting today cannot be above the heads of our people. It cannot speak of things that are not deeply embedded in their hearts. It must address the challenges that they continue to face in their lives, but it must also address the future that they want to see. We begin the process of formulating this manifesto at a time of renewed hope about the direction of our country. Research shows that our people are more confident about the future and remain keen to be part of building that future. So here we're starting from a very good base. Our people are not despondent, they are hopeful about the future, and the manifesto must therefore transport our people to the future that they yearn for. Our people are now more optimistic that our economy will recover and that their living conditions will also improve. They approve of the decisive action we are taking to boost investment, to boost economic growth and job creation. They see the work that we are doing to end state capture and corruption and to restore our state-owned enterprises to financial and operational health as positive moves. Many of our people have become actively involved in the debate on land reform and the measures that we need to take urgently to accelerate land redistribution and drive the agricultural revolution that they want to see. Our responsibility, therefore, in this workshop and during the course of the consultations that will follow is to harness the energy, the enthusiasm, and the activism of a people that are increasingly excited about the future. We must ensure that our manifesto process is as inclusive as we possibly can make it. And today is a very clear demonstration of the inclusivity that we want to see. That here gathered with us are a number of people from various formations representing diverse and different organizations and entities in our country, for which we are truly grateful for as the African National Congress. Not only must we seek out the broadest range of views, but we must also ensure that all our people, black and white, young and old, urban and rural, men and women, are empowered to participate. We should make it clear from the outset, however, that the manifesto will not simply be a survey of South African opinion. It will describe a program of action that befits an organization like the African National Congress, which is a disciplined force of the left with a clear working class bias. Like the Freedom Charter before it, the manifesto which we present to the South African people in 2019 will be a revolutionary document that is committed to transformation, that is committed to bringing about change, that is committed to improving the lives of our people. It will be a document of radical social and economic transformation. It will resonate with our people because they will have been integrally involved in its formulation. Next year will see the election of South Africa's 6th democratic administration. During the past 5 years, national and provincial elections that we've had, the ANC has consistently received the support of an overwhelming majority of the electorate. We can no longer count on our people to vote for the ANC because the ANC led the process to liberate our people. We will be asking them to vote for the ANC based on what we have done and also based on what we are going to do for them. And the ANC has an advantage over all other parties because we have a demonstrable record of uniting South Africans and uniting them across racial lines and forging very, very firmly the non-racial character of the African National Congress. And we've united them in building a country that our forebears could only imagine, even as they drafted the Freedom Charter in 1955. We will point out to our unmatched track record of delivery to demonstrate that we are capable of committing ourselves to working for our people. Yes, we will also be willing and brave enough to admit and own up to our own weaknesses and our own shortcomings and our own faults. This we must be willing and prepared to lay before our people. At the conclusion of this gathering, we must emerge with a discussion document that will be circulated to our branches and to the various structures of our broad movement for further input. A manifesto of the ANC will be a document that encapsulates the wishes and the aspirations of our communities to ensure that our manifesto is representative of the broadest views in our society. ANC branches and indeed structures of our alliance will convene community meetings to find out from our people what are the most pressing issues we need to attend to over the next few years. It has been said that 2019 will see the most contested election to date. This is a true indication that ours is a democracy that is alive with possibilities and is a democracy that is still at work. All indications are that half of the people that will be participating in next year's election are people who are under the age of 40. This workshop will also be required to help us come up with the key priority areas, the key strategies, and a message that responds to the needs of a young nation. As I conclude, let me remind this workshop that the success of the ANC campaign will rely on a highly well-oiled and organized election machine. This campaign must have defining characteristics, and those characteristics must be a good message. It must have a good narrative. It must also have an impeccable public presentation, and most importantly, high levels of organizational discipline. It has also to be based on the practice of one message, many voices, where the message is one message and there are many people across the length and the breadth of the country who will be propagating and articulating that message. The center must hold at all material costs as we propagate this one message through the many voices across the country. We have a responsibility to apply ourselves with diligence to the challenges facing our people and to the tasks that we must undertake as a nation to further transform our country. We have gathered in this room as a number of people, but many of us and most of us and all of us indeed are committed, and we are also some of the most capable people in South Africa today. And here we have the brains trust of our nation that can craft a clear message that will resonate with the people of our country for a better future. Outside this room, across the nation, we have a young, vibrant, forward-looking people who want to be part of building a better nation for themselves and for future generations. The young people who are out there want to hear a very, very powerful message, a message that is attractive, a message that will enable them to want to be part of this change process that is taking place in our country. Let us come up with a message that they will find attractive, a message and a manifesto that they will be willing to associate themselves with. We have the capability of doing so. Let us keep our eye on the electorate that we want to warm up to the manifesto that we want to craft today. Our task is to ensure that we take these young people and give them the opportunity of being part of the change process that should take place in this country. With those words, I wish this workshop all the success in its deliberations, and I want to say, in this workshop, people are invited to debate issues robustly, to be as open as possible, to be as direct as they possibly can be, and not to mince their words. And if you think that certain statements may hurt the leadership of the ANC, please do not hold back. Say it as it is, because we are ready for that. So it is an open invitation to all of us, and especially to those who are not immediately part of the structures of the African National Congress. Be as direct as possible. Call a spade, and don't call it an eating spoon. So with those words, we invite you to participate robustly in this workshop, and thank you very much for coming and braving the winter cold to be part of this process that we are starting today. Thank you very much.